This is the 2025 Listen to Kristen Choice Awards. Does anyone care? No. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Listen to Kristen 2025 Awards ceremony. This year, I read and reviewed quite a few books. According to Goodreads, it's something along the lines of 55 or 56. I can't remember. And of those 50-something books, there were quite a few that I liked, and some that I did not like as much. Yeah, you get the gist. There's a million different videos like this, so I'm just gonna get right into it. Although I am going to put a fun little twist on the way that I rank these books. I could have just made a list of the best and worst books of 2025, but that would have been too easy. And because I'm trying to shed my hater title, I decided to put a more positive spin on the books that I didn't like as much. So without further ado, hello, welcome back. It is a new year, a new sleigh, and a new video where I have something to say. And today I'm going to go through all my 2025 reads and give you my best and the least best. And yes, I am borrowing that from my good friend Keith of the Try Guys. He's not my friend. He has no idea who I am. I just really enjoy his Eat the Menu series. Can't recommend it enough. It's the only food vlogger I will watch. And that's not anything against food vloggers. I just don't like seeing people eat. I don't even like watching myself eat. I don't know. Anyway, I'm also going to apologize. I'm still recovering from a cold that I had like all of the last 2 weeks. I'm a little congested, so I apologize in advance. The first category in this video will be the best YA book I read in 2025. Now, if you've been a part of my channel for a while, you'll know that I predominantly read YA. I just like the genre. Sue me. Anyway, the nominees for best YA are Say a Little Prayer by Jenna Voris, Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas, and Falling Like Leaves by Misty Wilson. This was a very hard decision. These were my top 3 YA reads of the year, and even then it was so hard to narrow it down to just 3. What can I say? I just typically pick good books to read. And the winner of Best YA of 2025 is, drumroll please, I hope there's drumroll, and the winner is Falling Like Leaves by Misty Wilson. Let me explain, okay? It was really hard to pick between just these 3 books. And the only reason that I say Falling Like Leaves is the best is purely because I think it's better for like an all-rounded audience. Cemetery Boys was spectacular. I didn't do a video on it, but I read it, I want to say during the summertime or something like that, but I was truly invested. I think it's a very character-driven story. The world building, the plot, it's all very good, but I think the biggest selling point of the book is truly the characters. I don't think that that's bad. I actually prefer when stories are a little bit more character-driven, but I think it's for a very specific audience. I don't think that that appeals to everyone per se, which is a shame because Cemetery Boys is very good. Say a Little Prayer is similar, where the characters truly just take on a life of their own. Say a Little Prayer, I will say, was closer to the top for me just because of the other themes that were tackled. God, it's so hard because all the themes in these 3 books are very good. Cemetery Boys really looks at like Hispanic culture, what we view as normalized, machismo, stuff like that. Say a Little Prayer focuses on religious trauma, kind of like coming to terms with the fact that like a lot of the times people are traumatized by not the religion itself, but just the people that use it as a rationale for the bad things that they do. It's like when the worst people you know suddenly become religious so that they can be forgiven. P. Diddy. So there's a lot to unpack in both of these books, and I think it's similar with Falling Like Leaves. Truly, that book sticks out just a bit more to me because I think it manages to not only have compelling characters, but also a really compelling plot. And part of it, ironically, is because I think the plot is a little bit more simplistic than the other 2 books. In Say a Little Prayer, the main character, which I have an entire video just talking about this book, but as a brief summary, the main character is going to church camp where she is on a mission to commit all 7 deadly sins. In Cemetery Boys, the main character accidentally summons a ghost and can't get rid of him, so their goals are very distinct and outlined, whereas in Falling Like Leaves, because it's a romance, she doesn't necessarily have a main goal. Basically, the book is about this girl from New York City who is forced to move to this rural town of Bramble Falls after her parents are having a separation. So basically, she's just trying to get used to this new life in Bramble Falls and and rekindle some of her old relationships, specifically with her old best friend Cooper. So because the stakes are a little bit lower, it allows the characters to have more of an arc, and the pacing just in general feels a bit more relaxed, I will say, for a lack of a better term. I also have a video where I ranked fall-themed romance because this is also a little specific. It's a fall-themed YA romance. And it was so funny because in that video, I was like, man, none of these romance books really have like a plot. This one did. Similar to the other two books, it does tackle some more complex themes, particularly divorce, like being a perfectionist. Our main character at times is almost like the villain of the story because she truly is the master of self-sabotage. I think this book also stands out to me because the characters are just so fleshed out, and that's kind of the thing I don't like about romance books because so often it's like one of the love interests is super three-dimensional. They're like the tortured half of that pair, whereas the other one is like the one that's trying to fix them, for lack of a better term. But in this book, the two love interests, it's Ellis and Cooper, they both have such complexity to them. And oftentimes, like, they clash a lot. And truly, I will say that I think Falling Like Leaves is the gold standard when it comes to YA, particularly because it does tackle these hard themes, but it trusts the audience to sit with it without having to over-explain anything. That's truly the problem with YA nowadays, I find, where it's like nothing can be left unsaid. Everything has to be spoon-fed to the audience, and I don't like that. And it's particularly annoying because you're having these characters be like very sexually mature, and yet at the same time, you have to over-explain very simple concepts. I don't like that. Either they're mature or they're not mature. Like, pick one. This book does a very good job of balancing both. Again, I do have a video where I talk more in depth, but just know that I think about this book at least once a month. This book changed lives, I fear. I think it was nominated, yes, it was nominated for a Goodreads Choice Award for Best YA, ironically. And I think it got a Kirkus Star review, something like that. Anyway, it's a very good book and I highly recommend it. I mean, I recommend all three of these books. I think they do different things for me. Cemetery Boys is good for like magical and like honestly a little spooky because it does take place in October. Say a Little Prayer, I think, is more for when I want something a little bit more humorous. The chapter titles alone are hilarious. Whereas like Falling Like Leaves is something that I would read just to like, if I needed a palate cleanser, if I just needed to feel hope again. I could definitely see myself rereading any of these books, but particularly Falling Like Leaves. Keeping up with the positivity, my next category is Best Unfulfilling Finale. So I'm trying to put a bit of a positive spin on the things that I don't like about my least favorite reads of the year. So this is what I landed on for this book. Like, this book wasn't bad, but did I hate the ending? Absolutely. So the winner of Best Unfulfilling Finale is Allegiant. So earlier this year, I read Divergent and I did make a video all about that. And a lot of people asked me to read the whole series. So a couple weeks ago, I was like, you know what? Why don't I do that? I never finished the Divergent series. It's been out for over 10 years. So I just thought that now was a good time as any. I had no idea what I was in for when I started Allegiant. And then I finished the book and I ran to Goodreads because if you look at Goodreads, all of the reviews are hidden because of spoilers. Like, all the top ones are. And I was like, oh, I have absolutely no idea what this book is going to be about. I can't wait to finish so I could come back and look at the reviews. Spoiler warning for anyone that has not read Allegiant, but the book ends with the main character dying, and then everything just magically goes back to normal. A little context. I did know that Tris was going to die. That I don't know when I got spoiled. Honestly, like probably when the book came out. I knew she was going to die, but I did not know how badly the book would handle her death. They're trying to tell us that there's like really high stakes, like, oh my God, the entire town, city, Chicago is about to be memory wiped. And basically it's like a race for this like memory serum or whatever. Tris fights off a death serum, which I don't even want to go into the logistics of that, but she fights it off and then meets her doom by a gun. Like, this girl survived so many other things. I feel like for her to be taken out this way is like, it is rather unfulfilling, especially because like everything just gets figured out in the end. Nothing feels like resolved once you finish the book. It almost feels like that one TikTok of the girl where she's like refusing the COVID vaccine and she dies, and when she enters the kingdom of heaven, God is like, "You've done well, my soldier," whatever. Like, that is what her death feels like. Like, in her mind and in the book canon, it was supposed to be really serious and impactful. Like, she is sacrificing herself for the greater good, much like Jesus for our sins or whatever, but it doesn't feel like that. That speaks more to the overall stakes in the book. I think it really lost steam once it ironically like went bigger. So yeah, overall, Allegiant wasn't very good. And it was so funny looking at the reviews from years ago, like when the book actually came out. Like, I can't imagine if something like Allegiant came out today with TikTok and all these social media platforms, like the sheer outrage. But yeah, that was a last minute read of 2025. I think it was like the last book I read in the year. And yeah, it didn't do it for me. Moving on to the next category. Best nonfiction. Halfway through last year, I started reading more nonfiction, and it's something I want to continue into 2026. Overall, I just want to be more informed, and I want to branch out into other genres. Like, I don't want to just stay in YA. I think it's more beneficial to me as a reader if I get more experience with other genres. So that is something I want to continue. But I read 3 nonfiction books. Well, I read more than 3, but these 3 were the ones that stuck out to me most about last year. The nominees for Best Nonfiction are Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green, The House of My Mother by Sherry Frankie, and Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. And the winner is Everything is Tuberculosis. Everything is Tuberculosis stuck out to me most of all my nonfiction reads, I think, because of the way it was organized. It gave me the most information in a very direct, succinct, and entertaining way. The House of My Mother and Careless People are both memoirs, which maybe it's not fair to put them in this category. But because they speak more to someone's individual experience, I think I learned a lot. Everything is Tuberculosis is definitely something that I've carried with me even after finishing the book. Learning about how a literal disease has influenced our fashion trends, our beauty standards, and things that you wouldn't even think about has truly opened my eyes, and it's definitely something that I notice more and more. The House of My Mother was definitely something that I think kind of altered the literary world for a hot minute when it came out. I think it also won the Goodreads Choice Award for Best Memoir. I think it's a little unfair though, because to a lot of people in the greater public space, they were unfamiliar with the Frankie family and 8 Passengers. I was granted against my will keeping up with the family. I knew about a lot of the stuff she was talking about as she was writing about it. It was really eye-opening to get her experience, but at the same time, I felt such guilt reading the book, and it's part of the reason why I didn't want to even talk about it on my socials or review it, because I'm like, this poor family just has been through so much. Reading the book and supporting her is one thing, but to just rehash all the trauma that she's gone through, her life that was already forcibly put on camera for millions to see, I didn't want to contribute to that by then talking about it all over again and making it a spectacle. So it was definitely a good read and something that really sticks out to me, but it's something that I think is good for the read the first time, but it's not something that I would want to revisit. Careless People was also very eye-opening. I will say I learned a lot of stuff that I never heard about in news or any other social media platforms. I think the real determining factor was which one of these books taught me something that I didn't know before. The House of My Mother and these family vloggers being evil at their core, I knew that. Careless People and rich people essentially being the root of all evil, I knew that. Everything is Tuberculosis? I did not know that. I truly did not know how deep the veins run for tuberculosis. And also, I will say that because I listened to all 3 audiobooks, I will say that John Green's narration for Everything is Tuberculosis is one of the best. Again, all 3 are amazing, and I would recommend everyone to read them. That book just truly stands out most in my mind. The next category is Best Bully Romance. I had to have someone explain to me what a bully romance is, and I truly don't understand. I am not a person that likes it when love interests are mean. There's a difference between being a little sarcastic, playful, teasing, and being an asshole. I don't like when they're assholes. And I'm realizing that I'm kind of in the minority because there's so many books, especially, and I'm sorry, that go viral on TikTok where it's like, oh yeah, when he calls me a bitch and spits in my face, I'm like, that was a lot. So the winner of Best Bully Romance is There's Pumpkin About You. I also reviewed this book in my fall-themed romance wrap-up. I thought I was really gonna like this book, and truly, the thing that ruins it for me is the love interest. He calls the love interest like an idiot and just talks down to her all the time. There's also a lot of fat jokes in the book, which I'm like, in our year of 2026 now, like, I'm sorry. If you are writing a love interest being like, does this make me like that? I'm gonna shoot myself. We gotta keep up with the times. Like, those jokes, I'm sorry, are not funny. They also don't help the romance because the love interest will either be like, no, it doesn't make you look fat, or no, you're not fat, you're beautiful, as if fat means ugly. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't. This book was truly so underwhelming for my expectations, which, I'm sorry, but like for a fall romance, we're already kind of low. I was expecting something lighthearted, fun, and just like low stakes. And then to have this love interest be like so aggressive in me, I don't like that. I know some people like that, but I am personally not one of those people. I have nothing against people that like it. I'm just saying that for me, for my wrap up, it's gonna be my least best. And speaking of romance, I'm happy to announce that our next category is Best Adult Romance. I did not think I was going to have a category like this, but surprisingly, a lot of my reads from last year were romance. I think I really entered like a flow state this last year because I found so many that I actually genuinely liked, which is why I had to come up with this category. The nominees for Best Adult Romance are Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, Love is a War Song by Danica Nava, and Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. And the winner is Love is a War Song. First and foremost, Miss Danica Nava, thank you for introducing me to cowboy romance. I am so sorry to say that I was sleeping on that genre. I did not know your game. Caught Up, I think, was good, but not as good as Lights Out, in my personal opinion. I really liked the diversity of the cast. We had a non-binary character, and I really liked the way she handled it. But similarly to the critiques I had for the last book, the main character, what's his name? They call him Junior, I don't know. But he is very aggressive, but like mean aggressive. Like, I think at some point in the book, he broke someone's shin for looking at the main character. And personally, that's a little scary. I liked the overall plot. To me, it just wasn't as memorable. Like, I remember the plot and everything that happened in Lights Out so vividly. Caught Up, I think, was just a tad more aggressive, but the reason I have it as a nominee is partly because of the social themes that are addressed in the book and because of the characters. Funny enough, I think the thing that ruins Caught Up for me is the male love interest, which is supposed to be like the main selling point. I guess I just don't like mafia romance either. I'll have to read another one just to be sure that that's the underlying problem that I'm seeing. I am planning on reading the third book, which is Game On. It has a green cover, and I think it comes out on my birthday. It definitely comes out my birth month, so I'm gonna be having fun. Part of Your World was a very close second for the best. I think the only thing that put it at second for me was just because Love is a War Song not only has the romance, but it also has a big focus on social themes, which is really what I want in my romance. Like, I like it when books tackle things that are bigger than just like, oh, will they, won't they kind of romance. Like, it actually has something to say. Part of Your World did have something to say about healthcare and divorce and older women in the dating sphere. I thought that that was really good. Love is a War Song tackled the idea that people of color have to essentially succumb to certain stereotypes in order to break into the industry, and then from there they can kind of dismantle it from the inside. So our main character is kind of like how I said with Falling Like Leaves. At times, she is the villain of our story. She's kind of like an anti-hero. She is not always acting with the best of intentions, and she is also very complex. Overall, I will say that Love is a War Song is something that I think I could definitely reread again. Both of these books also have impeccable humor. The amount of times I was genuinely cackling while reading Part of Your World, I played a snippet of Part of Your World for, at the time, my boyfriend, and he was laughing. These books genuinely have so much humor, which I also really like out of romance. It was a very close tie. Love is a War Song. I'm sorry, I really like cowboys.
I want to be a cowboy, baby. I want to be a cowboy, baby.
The audiobook narration for both of these books is also top tier. It was a close tie, but Love is a War Song, I think, just really did it for me. The next category I have is Best Inspired Work. This is one of those least best categories, and I'm sure you can understand why I gave it this title. So the winner of Best Inspired Work is the Powerless series. I read all 3 books last year. Each book I remember so vividly, and particularly I remember hating it so vividly for different reasons. Powerless is a carbon copy of Red Queen, in my opinion, allegedly. I made a whole video going beat for beat on the plot and drawing the comparisons to Red Queen. I don't know how many times I have to say this, and truly I don't think we have enough uproar about a literal word for word copy in Powerless. I say it so many times in my videos, and I don't think everyone's truly grasping at how much of a coincidence it is for a book to have not only the same scene, the same setup, the same characters, and the same line word for word, and then still not think it's plagiarism. Not only is the book a carbon copy, but it's also obvious that it lost steam after the first one. Reckless is shorter and yet boring. All the reviews I've seen are they're literally just riding on a horse in the desert. And I'm like, yeah. Reckless is the most forgettable book out of the trilogy. Fearless is also stupid. Truly, I think this should have been a one and done. Powerless should not exist at all, right? If anything, it should have been relegated to the bottom pages of Wattpad. Fearless is particularly heinous because it's the whole point of a romance, right? You're waiting to see if the characters get together. So what motivation could you possibly have to read a book where the characters are already together? And this whole fake marriage thing and bringing up the trials a second time, truly, Fearless is the definition of scraping the bottom of the barrel for ideas. I would truly be interested to see what Lauren Roberts comes out with next, because Powerless is kind of like the cash cow, and I mean, how could you possibly run out of ideas when you're borrowing them from other established authors? Nothing about the book is original. I'm so sorry, but it's also so obvious and so easy to defend with evidence, as I showed in my video. I'm like, what could she possibly make that would stand on its own and have its own merit if we have an entire trilogy that is just recycled ideas? I'm also going to insert a mini second category with best hate comment received on a YouTube video. A little bit of context. So I uploaded my review of Fearless, which is the last book in the Powerless series, right? That video, single-handedly, I think I got the most hate comments on ever of all time. I don't get a lot of hate comments. Either that or I just don't see them. If anything, people just disagree with me, but it's never genuine anger when people do. And sometimes I do like to screenshot hate comments for myself because I have a God complex. So these just make me laugh. This one was so particularly hateful. I mean, I was laughing because I'm this is a book review, right? The profile picture, which I'm also not going to show, is a child. It looks like a mom that took a picture of their kid and uses that as their Facebook profile pic. So this person wins best hate comment of 2025. They said, "What the is wrong with you, pig? This series is amazing. Maybe your thinking is just garbage, rat. I think you should try to write a book. Lauren was unaware about Red Queen.
Wrap it up.
So shut your fucking mouth and delete this shitty video before I press charges on you and drag you out of your house by your hair. Fuck you." There's a lot to unpack there. Why are you going to war for this person who probably has no idea who you are? The dedication to type out this comment, send it, and go on with, like, this is such a long comment that I'm like, at any point you could have thought to yourself, like, this is kind of an extreme reaction, and maybe I should just not. Like, maybe I should just keep that in the old dome and express my anger to my friends that surely also like this book, but not say anything on the internet, especially not say anything with a profile picture. I'm like, if you're gonna leave hate comments, I would imagine you would want to kind of be like anonymous. Why would you put your face? Especially because it looks like the username is the person's like actual name. I'm like, girl, be careful with that. Like, I could be crazy. Thankfully, I'm not. I'm just gonna read your hate comment on my YouTube video. I'm also like, press charges for what? Lying? Because I didn't. Making a review? Because that's protected speech, girl. Also, like, you're lying. Miss Lauren Roberts herself has said multiple times as she was promoting the book that it's a cross between The Hunger Games and Red Queen. So to say she was unaware when she wrote the book is a bold-faced lie. I'm sorry. I think about that commenter so often because I wonder where they're at right now. I wonder if they leave those kinds of comments or worse on other people's videos. I'm just like, this person is probably like the president of the Powerless fan club. I'm sorry, that was just really funny. Funny enough, I also had a runner-up for best inspired work. This might be controversial. The runner-up was Blood Moon. I read that in my own free time, and immediately I was like, this seems oddly familiar. I didn't hate Blood Moon. I don't think it was a bad book. It was very similar to Twilight. Not only is it a book with vampires and werewolves, like, that's not a big deal. Everyone writes about vampires and werewolves. That's not unique to Twilight. However, the main character, I think her name is Isabel or Isabella, but they call her some form of Bella in the book. Like, that is her name. Her dad is also police chief or otherwise involved in some kind of law enforcement. It was hard to ignore. And especially because I'm like, the name and the profession of your father could have been easily avoided. I think the profession of her dad really played into the plot, I guess. I just don't like vampire books, which is not fair because I did read one vampire book this past year that I thought was really good. I'm not going to say the name because technically it's under the Wednesday imprint, which is a part of St. Martin's Press, and we are still under boycott. I don't know if everyone forgot that, but yes, we are still under boycott. But I've read other vampire books that I thought were fine. This one was very similar to Twilight, and I don't like Twilight. But moving on, I think I'm teetering into negativity, and I'm trying to be positive. The next category I have is Best Dystopian Novel. The nominees for Best Dystopian are Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I have 2 copies behind me. Cold Wire by Chloe Gong, and Battle Royale by Koshun Takami. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. And the winner of Best Dystopian is Cold Wire. This was also very hard to pick. Obviously, I don't think it's fair to include The Hunger Games on this list because it's obviously a slam dunk. Like, in no world is any Hunger Games novel not going to be the best dystopian ever. Partially the reason I didn't qualify it as a winner. Battle Royale was a very close second. And I think the only reason that I rank Cold Wire higher is just because it's more recent, and I think it really encapsulates what a dystopian is supposed to be. So when you have books that, again, are super famous, like Battle Royale and The Hunger Games, Cold Wire feels like a good continuation of the genre. Like, the passing of the torch to Cold Wire, I think, is warranted. And I truly don't think it's getting hyped enough. I also made an entire video about this book, basically talking about how the themes in Cold Wire are really trying to break down the military-industrial complex. And I think it does have a lot to say about our real world and how the military is just so normalized in our society. I mean, like, all the superhero movies we watch, Captain America, Iron Man, that's military propaganda. I hope you guys know that. And it's so ingrained in our everyday lives, and I don't think a lot of people really think about it, and Cold Wire makes you think about it. I'm really excited to see where the series is going to go. I think it's a trilogy. The second book is supposed to be coming out sometime this year, which I am fiending for that arc. I need it now. And overall, I really like it. I also like it because it's academic rivals, and I learned this year that I really like rivals. Something about that trope in romance just really does it for me. I love the dynamic. I need to find more rival romance books because I think it's so good. Speaking of which, someone may or may not be currently reading Heated Rivalry, but that's neither here nor there. The next category I have is Best Case of Should Have Stayed Curious. Basically, this book was something that I had never read before, and it's really famous and really big, and I thought to myself, man, I should actually read the book because I've seen the movie adaptations and I think they're cringy and funny. Surely I'll like the actual source material. But no, and the winner of Best Case of Should Have Stayed Curious is Twilight. I have another 2-part video series talking about this book. Funny enough, I think those videos I had the most like argumentative comments. Like I would say something about the book and people would be like, well, no, actually like it's about this, which I'm fine being corrected. And I think like I was making those videos as someone who had never read Twilight before. I didn't read any of the other books. I didn't read the prequels. Like I had truly nothing else to go on besides the first book. And everyone else had like probably read the book a few times, like had a lot more to go off of, a lot more knowledge. So I appreciate when people correct me on things like that. But regardless, like Twilight was just not a good book, in my opinion. I would have been so much better off just watching the movies. Like, I still watch them every now and then because it's funny. It's just a good nostalgia watch, okay? Like, the movies are kind of good, I will say. But like, yeah, I gained nothing from reading the book. And honestly, it kind of soured the movies for me. And I don't like that. I would have liked to keep watching the movies and laughing to my heart's content. But now I'm just like, ew, I remember how it was supposed to be in the books. So yeah, my advice, if you've never read Twilight, don't. The next category I have is Best Adult Fiction. I read a surprising amount of adult fiction. Again, I don't read a lot of like adult literature. It's mainly just YA, but I had a few good ones in 2025. So the nominees are Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I've heard her say Catabasis. Personally, I like Catabasis, so I'm going to say that. Julie Chan is Dead by Lian Zhang, and Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And the winner is Catabasis. Catabasis was my first R.F. Kuang novel, and I think I started off kind of with a bang. That book really requires you to kind of like feel comfortable in your own stupidity. And I say that as someone that like, I pride myself on being like semi-intelligent. That book made me feel stupid. I'm like, I don't know anything about these higher institutions, all these paradoxes and like word plays or whatever. I was truly like, I don't understand this. I kind of get it. But if you asked me to explain it, I don't think I could do it accurately. And I was really comfortable with that. I'm like, you know what? These characters are a lot smarter than me. And I'm just glad that it's them going through the 9 circles of hell and not me. I think the book overall is really fun and it was really engaging, again, despite the fact that like I kind of felt stupid reading it. That's an emotion that I think we should feel comfortable with in 2026 and something that should challenge you. Read books that challenge you mentally. It's okay to feel a little uncomfortable in your own ignorance, and don't take ignorance as a mean word. You don't know what you don't know, and you're never going to find out if you don't challenge yourself. That's what I really liked about Catabasis. The characters are both very intriguing. I was surprised that there was a bit of a romance going on in the back. I was like, okay, I can get down with this. There were some times that I felt kind of lost, but I was not upset about it. I really liked it. And I was just kind of like, at some point, I was like, I just have to go along for the ride and hope for the best. And it worked out in the end. I think the other 2 books are very good. And I had similar emotions where I'm like, okay, this is kind of getting weird and I don't know what's happening, but I'm just going to keep reading. Mexican Gothic and Julie Chan is Dead are both very good books. And I think like they equally all have very interesting concepts. Catabasis just really sticks out to me. And I do want to reread it just because, again, I feel like I only got like the surface of what the book is about. So I think as you read it more and more, like you'll uncover more. Now, the next category I have is another positive twist. This is the best Brainrot book. And the winner, which I'm sure no one needed to guess, is Bonds of Hercules. I'm not going to say much. I have a 2-part series on this one book. I think people are sick of me talking about it, and I'm sick of talking about it. Am I slightly perplexed that people like it? Yeah, Absolutely. Because I come on YouTube and everyone is kind of in agreement that the books are bad. I go anywhere else and like people are gagging over the book and I truly don't get it. I'm having to come to terms with the fact that I'll never understand why people like it. I guess it just truly comes from delusion. I hate to say that like everything that's gone down on TikTok and looking at other people's reviews, looking at the hate comments, like there was a solid couple of weeks where I was like, am I stupid? Is the book actually a lot more serious and complex than I'm thinking? Did I just misunderstand this whole book? Am I dumb? And I would like genuinely try to interact with other people and like look at other reviews and really like dissect what they were saying and being like, okay, do they have like a leg to stand on? Is this something that I just truly missed? No, the book is bad. And any other explanation that people have tried to give in defense of the book is just wrong. Wrong until they provide textual evidence proving otherwise, which I've yet to see. The fact that those people had me thinking that I was wrong, even the best of us can question ourselves. But it is in these moments of self-doubt that you just have to remind yourself that you have critical thinking. I was an active reader. I took notes. I truly engaged with the source material. Some of the points that people had to say, I'm like, okay, yeah, like maybe I was wrong. But I don't think the things that I was wrong about negate the overall wrongness of the book. The only other thing I will say is that author interviews should really be studied more. Some people don't like to hear what authors have to say about their own books. I think it's really eye-opening, not only because you hear their own perspectives on their work, but also you hear them talk about their own expertise and lives and how they wrote the book. That one interview with the author of Blood of Hercules is truly a goldmine. I recently listened through the whole interview again just to like give myself a refresher, because a lot of people were saying like, no, you have to watch the whole interview. Like you're taking this out of context. You're taking this out of context. And I'm like, am I? So I watched the whole interview again. And I'm like, first of all, no, I did not. There's no context you can give to the statement, I skim read and I wrote the book to make it easier to read, that makes it sound any less bad. On top of the fact that in that interview, it's so lethal because it's in a last minute segment at the end of the interview. It's supposed to be lighthearted. The interviewer, Morgan Book, is essentially just giving trivia questions about Greek mythology because she wrote a book that has Greek mythology references in it. The main character is Hercules, need I remind everyone? And she says it multiple times in the interview as well, that her expertise, her knowledge is in Greek and Roman history, not mythology. Her words, not mine. I don't know if this was like a bit and she was trying to be funny, so I'm gonna give her that benefit of the doubt, that maybe she wasn't being serious and it was just like for the interview. But the interviewer asks her like a trivia question. She says, who is Apollo's twin? And the author pauses and she's like, I actually don't know. It's Artemis. And I'm gonna tell you guys that in Bonds of Hercules, Artemis is a pretty big character, at least someone that is referenced like a few times. The beginning of the book has a joke about her name. I thought we knew who Artemis was. The interviewer also asked her, who is the messenger of the gods? And she also didn't know the answer. It's Hermes. Those are also very basic questions, which the interviewer said that she was using her knowledge from Percy Jackson to base them off of, and she couldn't get them right. For my mental health, and because I can't open up another can of worms on the internet, I'm just going to say that it was a joke, that she was just playing around, that she knew exactly who these people were. That's not even talking about how she said that she didn't do a lot of research and she just went off of her own college knowledge, which I'm like, yeah, but you should also like brush up on these things. No one should ever write a book without researching, not even a little bit. Like when I read Love is a War Song, there is an interview portion at the end, I want to say, where the author talks about interviewing ranchers to ask them questions about like, okay, how do horses move? Like theoretically, like how would a horse react during a thunderstorm? Like it's a romance, it's a cowboy romance, and she did research on cowboys. How is an author not going to do research about Greek mythology when the whole book is about I can't open that can of worms. All I'm gonna say is that this book is brain rot. Like, it serves no other purpose. It's not good. I'm so sorry. But hey, at least it's the best brain rot book of 2025. All right, now for the wrap up. The best overall book that I read in 2025, regardless of genre, category, whatever. The book that I think is the best overall is Falling Like Leaves. I'm sorry, Falling Like Leaves is just too good. Like, I can't gush about it enough. It's truly a sin that I don't own a copy of my own, but maybe I'll go out and buy one. I like the edges. I think there's like a special sprayed edge on it. I'm gonna have to see, but I do want one. And the least best overall is, of course, Bonds of Hercules. Listen, the book is just bad. I'm so sorry to say. I read the first two and I gave it the good old honest try, but it just never got any better. Will I read the third book? Probably, yes. Will I review it on the channel? No. There's obviously nothing's going to change. The writing style is going to be the same. It's still not going to have paragraphs. It's still going to be cringy. It's still going to be ace-phobic and misogynistic. Like, nothing about that is going to be different in the third book. The only way that I would consider talking about it is if there's something like egregiously bad or otherwise noteworthy to talk about, which I am interested to see how we're going to handle a Medusa love interest with Patro and Achilles as the main oh my god. I'll relegate that to my personal conversations with my bookish friends. No need to beat a dead horse. Like, I've already given it a fresh wallop in the last couple of months. Like, nothing about the book is going to change. It's not going to be good. Obviously, it's just not something I like, and that's fine. But that concludes my 2025 year in books wrap up. Please let me know what you think in the comments. If you've read any of these books, what you think, and what books you're looking forward to in 2026. I know this month, I'm particularly looking forward to Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. You can also check out my in-depth reviews on some of the books. I'll put them in my description. I know I didn't review all of them, but most of them I did. So you can check those out to get my analysis and my in-depth thoughts. And yeah, let me know what you're reading in the new year. Hopefully it's something good. Maybe I can recommend you some children's books by a new author. If you want to support a Hispanic author, maybe I have a recommendation for you. I don't know. Anyway, be sure to follow me on all my social media at Listen to Kristen on TikTok, Instagram, and Goodreads. And yeah, that's the end of my video. I hope you guys had a fantastic new year. I know I did. And I'm so excited to kick off a brand new year of reading, reviewing, and maybe being a little controversial, but hopefully not. Hopefully by next week, this cold will be gone. I'm tired of being sick, and I just want to go back to reading. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for coming to my award ceremony. This is my first time emceeing, and I hope I did a good job.